Hey everybody, it's Chrissy's known online as Wootini, here with another Gay Gamer video podcast. This week I saw two movies again. They were movies that I wouldn't necessarily have gone to see, but they were released in 3D, and as you know, I love 3D, and I said let's do a 3D double feature, although not in the same day. One day I saw 3D Sharks, the next day I saw 3D Turtles. So the first I saw Meg 2, The Trench, which was enjoyable. The problem with Meg 2 is that it's like two movies in one, and the first movie's not as good as the second one. Like, the first half is basically like this underwater adventure that is kind of like rote and a little too serious and whatever. And then once they get back up to the surface, then things start to pick up and there's more humor. And then once they get to the resort and the sharks are attacking and it's a whole boodle, and then it's just campy fun and Jason Statham on a jet ski with a spear, and it's like, yeah, this is the movie I came to see. So it's a bit long at almost 2 hours, and they could have lost 20 to 30 minutes from that first half and done more of the ending stuff that was more fun, which is what we all came to see. So the ending does redeem it. Like, you just have to sit through the beginning part that's just sort of like a standard action movie thing that's like, okay, whatever. And then it becomes the campy fun that we all wanted to see with giant sharks. And also the 3D was excellent. It was clearly shot with 3D in mind. Like, the opening scene, like, immediately things are popping out of the screen, and I was like, yes, this is great. So it's really well done 3D. I'm very glad that Warner Brothers converted it to 3D, because they've not been converting movies for a while. Like, none of the DC movies have been converted to 3D anymore. Like, they're not wasting the money. And so I thought for something like Meg 2, I was surprised that they spent money on a 3D conversion. So thanks for that. It was way more entertaining in 3D. Then the next day, I went to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 3D. Mutant Mayhem is the subtitle. And I am not a Turtles fan, but I wanted to support 3D, and it looked like it would be fun. And the reason that I wanted to see it in 3D is not just because I love 3D. It's because the animation style that they used for this movie, it's kind of like this smeary painting thing, and it's kind of like purposefully ugly and grimy and smeary. And looking at the trailers, it just looked like the characters and the backgrounds were all just smearing into each other, so I thought that seeing it in 3D would help to, you know, separate the characters from the background and delineate the action a little clearer. And it did. Because the movie doesn't really use 3D with like pop-outs or depth or anything, but it does help create a three-dimensional space where everything, you can follow the action and the characters, and it separates them and they don't get all muddled together in the backgrounds. And I am not a big fan of the Turtles. I know the basic concept, I know the origin. I never watched the movies or the show or even read the comics, but I was very glad that they did not do a whole origin for the first half hour of the movie. It's just a little 5-minute flashback, so I was like, yay, because we don't need the origin every time. The kids all know about the origin. We don't need to do it again. But the movie was like really fun. Like, I was enjoying it as much as any of the kids in the theater. It was weird. The actual plot line is kind of standard, but the voice acting is just charming as all get out. The Turtles are hilarious. They feel like real teenagers, and it's just funny and charming, and it's just fun. And I was very surprised because the credits came up and there were like 6 people who wrote the script and 4 people who did the story, and I was just like, I'm surprised that this was as good as it was with that many people working on the script. And it didn't feel like a complete hodgepodge mess. So I recommend Turtles. You don't necessarily have to see it in 3D. I just felt like it visually helped with the animation. But yeah. as for games, I continue to not need any additional anxiety or stress in my life, so I did not play any Alan Wake at all. In fact, I switched over and played some No Man's Sky to chill out, because I just needed that. So I found a nice paradise planet with like glowy grass, and I just relaxed and explored, and it was like, ah. It's funny because No Man's Sky is a very different game from when it first came out. I don't play it as often as I did back then. They do all these updates, but they never inspire me to go in and play it, because when the game first came out, everyone complained because they're like, there's nothing to do. All you do is go from planet to planet and look at stuff, and it's boring. And I was just like, what are you talking about? This is exactly the game I wanted. I want to go from planet to planet and look at all the animals and the plants and look at the ruins and learn alien languages. This is so much fun. And then as the updates kept coming, I was like, okay, great. Add vehicles. I don't want them. I don't care. Add better graphics. That's awesome. Add VR support. I'm all over that. But then, you know, they started adding like stories, and some of them I've been like, okay, I'll do this. And then they added a lot of multiplayer stuff, and I'm just like, no, 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 no. No Man's Sky is a very solitary game for me. I don't play multiplayer. So I'm not really interested in like playing with other people and going to the space station and seeing all these other players wandering about. I don't want to interact with them. I don't want real people. It's just for me to zone out and chill out. And then they added more stuff with like, you know, fighting the Sentinels and saving settlements from the Sentinels and the giant robots. And I'm just like, I don't want an action-adventure game. That's not what I want. I want to just casually explore these planets and avoid conflict. Thank you very much. And to their credit, Hello Games has continued to update the game and add more content while still keeping that general concept of allowing you to play No Man's Sky in the way that you want. So like if you want to be always in your spaceship and never landing on planets, you can. If you want to just explore like I do, you can. If you want to fight Sentinels constantly, you can. Build bases, whatever. Ooh, the building bases. That was the update that really pissed me off. Because, like, my base basically got demolished by the different updates. It just was kind of horrible, and the planet was terrible now, and I was like, I don't want to be a base on this planet. So I found a new planet to try to build a base, but then it was like, okay, I want to put a door in. Okay, let's put a sliding door. Okay, well, you need a sensor to activate the door. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's kind of annoyingly detailed. But then you also had to wire the sensor to the door and then wire that to a generator that you had to completely, constantly fill with fuel so that you could power the electricity of your base. And I'm just like, no, this is like a step too far to be too realistic, and it stops being fun. And that pissed me off, so I have never tried building a base again. I don't even know where my base is. I haven't been to it in forever. It has no power anyway, so you can't really use it. But I'm still able to just chill out and go from planet to planet and just look around and do stuff, and it's fine. Except for that one time where I was on a planet and I'm just wandering around. My ship was nowhere near me, and I was just wandering because it was perfectly pleasant. And I'm like, I'm going to go over there and see what that thing is. And I went to walk over there, and then all of a sudden these pirate ships came down from the sky and started shooting at me, and I'm just like, what the hell? And of course, I tried to run away, but I mean, I was killed in seconds because, you know, spaceship, human, it's, you know, not a fair fight. And that pissed me off because, like, I haven't died in that game in, like, forever. Because I don't do things that will cause me to die. So that pissed me off, and I was like, what the hell with these pirates attacking me? Rude. It hasn't happened again since, so I think they adjusted the gameplay or something, so it doesn't happen, because that sucked. But I also, out of curiosity, because the new PlayStation Plus games were released, I said, oh, Dreams. Let me check that out. So I started to check out Dreams, but the problem with Dreams is that I don't think I'm going to enjoy it because it's all about creating, and I don't want to create a game. I would create, like, a scene, maybe? I don't know, because I don't really know what I can do with it yet, because it's like I've only done a few tutorials, you know, and it's like, here's how the controls work, and here's how this works, and here's how that works, and I'm just like, okay. So, I mean, it's a lot of tutorials, so I don't know if I'm even going to make it through the tutorials to see what I could maybe create with Dreams. But I was just curious, so I thought I would boot that up. I would download that and try that. But, yeah, so I have nothing to report there, because there's nothing. So, come back next episode, where I'll have seen another movie, this time probably just the one, and I'll either have played more Dreams, and I'll have something to say about it, or I'll have gone back to Alan Wake, or I'll have played something else entirely. Who knows? Come back and find out. Bye!